I don't like your face, Bertie. I do not think it is the kind of face that should be seen in society.
That button should not be undone. I did not create you, Duke of York, for you to walk around with your buttons undone.
Sorry, Father.
People who walk around with their buttons undone are cads. Your duty is to set an example. One of the ways you can do this is by doing up your buttons.
Yes, Father.
Bertie, we should be late. Bertie, shoulders.
That girl you were dancing with.
Elizabeth Bowes-Lyons, sir. A daughter of the Earl of Strathmore.
I might want you to introduce me to her.
There's a bit of a queue at the moment, sir.
May I have this dance, please?
Weren't you in the Navy during the war?
Yes. I spent most of my time rolling around the deck in agony.
Oh, heavens, were you wounded?
Stomach ulcer, actually. There were times when I thought a wound would have been preferable.
I was a nurse. We turned Glamis into a kind of hospital. Those poor young men. And now here we are, all having fun as if it never happened.
What was it that French chap said? Never talk about it. Always think about it. An extraordinary thing has just happened.
Did I tread on your foot?
I didn't stammer. I didn't stammer once.
I think you may have winged a beater, sir.
What? Oh, my God. Are you sure?
We'd better let him have a favour, sir.
Elizabeth? I think I may have peppered one of your beaters.
Oh, Lord. Honestly, Bertie!
I think my son is rather keen on the Strathmore girl.
I formed that impression, too.
Or he could do worse than marry Bertie to a member of the British aristocracy. I mean, some of them are quite respectable. Well, yourself, for example.
Has it ever been done? Isn't royal blood supposed to be a unique asset? Surely she'd be the first commoner to marry into the royal family since,
Anne Boleyn.
Well, that didn't work out, did it?
Well, my understanding is that until he had her beheaded, the whole thing was a resounding success.
That should make us level.
You're quite competitive underneath all that, aren't you?
Well, of course. That's why I like shooting with you. No competition!
Well, really?
The working man needs to work. If we can't offer the Welsh miners work, then we might as well...
We should offer them champagne.
I'm serious. There's a strong danger the miners will be tempted by Bolshevism.
Isn't Lenin the most appalling little man? Well, what do you think of Bolshevism, Bertie?
I try not to think about it, actually.
Oh, no, my brother has a very strong social conscience. He's devised a sort of residential camp whereby he takes boys from the slums and so on, puts them together with boys from wealthier families, and they all, what do they do exactly, Bertie?
Well, they, you know, play games and...
Have fun.
Yes, that's it.
Anyway, take Glasgow, for instance. I was up there last...
I can't sort of put it into words like him. Don't you think he's marvellous?
Of course he is. He's your brother. And he doesn't mind being noticed. Which must have its uses if you're going to be a king.
I hate being noticed.
I shall ignore you then.
Oh, no. Don't do that, please.
You seem troubled, sir.
Well, I'm in love with the girl. I'm absolutely, completely and utterly in love with her. And I want to marry her. And I'm at my wit's end to know what to do about it.
Well, you could try asking her, sir.
No, that's not really possible, I'm afraid. If you're me, I mean, if you're a member of the royal family, do you see? You're not supposed to ask people to marry you.
Why ever not?
Well, Father would never allow it. In case they turned you down, I would never do it, you see. We sent an emissary to see how the land lay.
And what happened?
She told him to bugger off. And I really do not know what I should do. I'm so in love with her, you see.
I think you should ask her yourself, sir.
Fighting talk, Davidson.
My wife turned me down 3 times before she said yes. I just had to keep asking her, and eventually she sort of gave in.
Extraordinary people, women.
You can't expect a high-spirited girl to say yes to an emissary. This is 1922.
Not in Buckingham Palace, it isn't.
Have you seen Bertie?
He drops in. I think in the hope of seeing you.
Oh, dear.
He's terribly sweet, Elizabeth. I think he's much the nicest of the brothers.
Yes, he is. Do I want to be the king's daughter-in-law? Wouldn't it be rather like winning crafts?
Actually, wave rather well. And he's only Duke of York. You don't have to wear a crown or anything.
Elizabeth. I've asked you to marry me.
You haven't asked me. You simply put out feelers, like an insect.
What?
Bertie, we can't communicate through third parties for the rest of our lives. We'll end up writing notes to each other and passing them down the table.
That would never do. You wouldn't be able to read my handwriting.
Oh, Bertie.
I'm asking you to marry me, Elizabeth. Just don't imagine I'm going to ask you again.
You can be quite decisive when you want to be, can't you? Of course I'll marry you.
Yeah!
You're gonna have to stop behaving like that. What on earth are you doing?
From under the spreading chestnut tree. My boys and I do it at camp. Go.
You're ridiculous. You're quite ridiculous.
Yes, I am. I'm ridiculous. And serious. And decisive. And indecisive. And frightfully humble. And terribly, terribly proud. Hath not the prince arms? Hath not the prince eyes? Doth not the violet smell as sweet to him as it does to you?
I don't think that's quite how it goes, but you do speak it beautifully.
When I'm with you, I do speak beautifully.
Elizabeth. Where have you been, David?
I've been abroad, Father.
Abroad is bloody. Why have you been abroad? Listening to jazz? Drinking cocktails? Where will it end?
The train you're lending me for the wedding, ma'am, it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
It belonged to somebody. Not Anne of Cleves. Someone along those lines. Was it that fat woman from Saxe Coburg Gotha, my dear?
My feeling, sir, is that the wedding of these two young people, the Duke and Duchess of York, should be filmed, if that is thought appropriate, but not allowed to be recorded over the wireless. People might listen to it in inappropriate places.
What exactly do you mean by that?
Public houses, for example. They might also not remove their hats at solemn moments.
Why this obsession with ritual?
Monarchy is ritual. Boy. That's why. Doing things in the prescribed manner. You've read your budget. Monarchy is magical. And you can't let daylight in upon a magic. Little by little, the newspaper boys, the wireless boys, will be flashing their cameras and poking their microphones under your noses, and one morning you'll wake up and there won't be any magic. There won't be any monarchy either.
This is a serious matter, David. There was an unfortunate photograph of you in the newspapers the other day, wearing what they referred to as bell-bottoms. They won't do.
We thought Bertie might wear his RAF dress uniform.
Thoroughly appropriate, my dear.
Oh, we must withdraw, Elizabeth, and make plans. There's no fun talking about weddings when there are men present.
Marriage, my boy. Take a leaf out of Bertie's book. Don't stand around drinking cocktails looking like a wet weekend. Get married. Happy where you are, Bertie?
And where am I?
In the middle, of course. Seriously, though. First-class performance. You, quite superb. Audible. Very, very audible. Here you in China. First-class groom.
I'm so happy, Bertie.
What?
Happy, your son. He looked wonderfully happy that he was getting married.
Oh, yes. Yes. Well, you better take your picture now, instead of lurking around inside that bag, otherwise we'll all go off the boil. Try not to look as if this is the Battle of Jutland. Zitter, he's taking it now.
A foggy day greets the Duke and Duchess of York as they arrive at Wembley for the final day of the British Empire exhibition. The stadium is full to its utmost capacity, and the crowd gives the Duke a warm welcome as he inspects the Guard of Honor.
Turn down the music. Your brother is about to make a fool of himself. Not to be missed. Turn it down. I'm sure Bertie will do very well.
The royal couple have delighted everyone on their public engagements since the triumph of the wedding. And this occasion... This truly magnificent stadium has played host to an exhibition. The past days are made proud. And the sentiments of the Duke will surely echo the feelings in the hearts of many of this happy crowd. It is a long time since...
Just wait till he starts to speak.
And the warmth and friendship...
You mark my words.
...will stay with us for months to come. Now here is His Royal Highness.
All of us here today for the British Empire exhibition are only too aware that great nations have much to learn from each other. They can profit by each other's example and set the standards and courses of mutual...
He was put in splints as a child to cure his knock knees.
I do believe I can hear them knocking.
I promise you, he's terribly good. He's a speech therapist.
Oh, I absolutely refuse to see some quack. That last one was insane. I stammer because it...
Makes you more attractive.
I refuse to see any more quacks.
He won't stick pins in you.
I really draw the line at talking about potty training.
I'm sure he won't raise the subject unless you do.
Lionel Logue, sir.
Mr. Logue,
I never discuss potty training.
how do you get through the day?
What I want you to start by doing is lying on the floor. And in case it may be treasonable to stand up while a member of the royal family is lying down, I'll be happy to join you.
Well, I think we should all lie on the floor. And just pray that no reporters have binoculars trained on the windows of Mr. Logue's consulting rooms.
Now what?
Now we're on the same level. I'd like you to put your hands on your diaphragm.
Good Lord, I don't think I could find mine. Now what?
We breathe. You do breathe, do you?
This is an original form of treatment, Mr. Logue. Do you charge people for your advice?
We breathe like this.
Good Lord. Fascinating. Come on, Bertie, breathe. Like this.
Isn't she lovely?
Mary, I'm hopeless with babies. I never know what comes out where.
Good morning, Elizabeth. How are we today?
Oh, she's been a little fractious.
She's caught sight of her grandfather and she's saying to herself, can that old fool be King of England? Is this possible? Or maybe she's caught a glimpse of her uncle. Enough to disillusion the most optimistic infant.
Do hold her. She's so good for you. David.
Congratulations to both of you on your daughter. She's quite lovely.
Thank you.
I'm sure it's what he thinks I should be doing, but I don't think I shall ever have children. The thought of him grimacing at them is enough to put one off entirely.
Someday, David, I suppose. Well, I mean the family.
Ah, the line of succession, you mean? Why is that all that anyone ever talks about? Is one a sort of a prize bull?
You're beginning to wake up.
Thank you. Very good.
I hear you are going to address the working class in Birmingham. I trust you'll tell them that they should stop trying to run the country and leave that job to people who are more qualified to do so.
Such as yourself, presumably.
I have no pretensions of being able to run anything. But I do know a few fellows who can. I'm a very ordinary sort of chap. As are you, David. The difference between us is that you seem to be unaware of this very important fact. Don't make an ass of yourself, talking to the workers. They're not as stupid as they look.
I sometimes think, Father, that you have no faith in my political principles.
You think right. You have no political principles. Bertie may be defeated by 3 or 4 consonants. But at least he shows some traces of character.
Dearly beloved, shall we begin the ceremony?
Yeah.
Well done, David.
What do you think, Thelma?
Marvellous, darling.
It's my own composition, Bertie. I'm thinking of calling it Fort Belvedere, because it was composed here in Fort Belvedere. Man must leave something of himself in the world.
Dear me.
Ooh, I always think it's so clever to have the bagpipes as one show-off, because no one has the faintest idea whether you're playing them well or badly.
Bravo!
Thank you. Thank you so much. You're too kind. Now, I just got sent these from America. Apparently they're unbreakable. Shall we see if they really are?
Right!
I'm quite glad. I love to see brothers who get on. Will they always be this close, do you think?
Oh, I think so. David will become king and become serious suddenly, like Henry V. And then Bertie will be able to look up to him even more.
And he'll put me away like Falstaff. Darling, don't look so upset. Married to someone else already. At least I was last time I looked.
Yes!
Well done!
Something about father. The king is not well. Again. They keep implying he might die. I really can't believe that, can you? You know, it's funny, I feel absolutely nothing at all. It's a matter of entire indifference to me whether our father is well or ill. You know, I really couldn't give a damn. You really have to go?
I'm afraid so. We have 2 little girls to take care of. They have to be in bed. So do we.
Simply that my brother and his wife fear the sanctity of their family life will be corrupted if they stay any longer.
Do you see us as the good children, David?
Naturally, and Thelma and myself as terribly wicked.
Evil, David, evil.
Oh, David, we're not too late, are we?
No!
David, this is Mrs. Wallace Simpson. I've asked her to look after you while I'm away.
What an intolerable burden to lay on someone, Thelma. you neglect us, will you? You know how Bertie loves to sing.
Goodbye, David.
Bertie.
Selma, many thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
You know why I've called you here. This American woman, this married American woman, Mrs.
Simpson.
We've been hearing things.
What things?
That she stays with you at the fort overnight. Doubtless, her husband is a loyal British subject, despite marrying an American. But I'm sure his loyalty to the crown has its limits. Your mother heard a rumor that this woman was practically selling tickets for a royal function. The Queen, do you see, is worried that Mrs. Simpson might expect to be received by her. Is this relationship a clean one?
I swear to you on my honor, sir, that it is. Nothing improper has taken place between us. She's simply a wonderful woman whose company makes me very happy.
If that is your word of honor, I am prepared to ask her and her husband to the Jubilee Ball and to Ascot. But if you are lying to me, boy, the lie will poison more things in our family than you can imagine.
I'm telling the truth. But I don't want to be a rabbit anymore. And that is where we must end.
Can't you finish the story, please?
I have to go, my dears, but in case you can't be left in suspense, the boy rabbit marries the girl rabbit and they live happily ever after. I have to meet Wallace at Emerald Cunard's date, or I shall be shot.
And she and Mr. Simpson are invited to Ascot, I hear.
Oh, yes, that's correct. Father had heard some ridiculous rumours about our relationship.
And you told him what, exactly?
I told the king what he wanted to hear.
He told Father he wasn't living with her. He lied. She aids and abets that lie. She takes care not to sign the visitor's book at the fort. She takes money and jewels from him. She's a...
She won't last. They never do.
This one's different. None of the others have made me feel like this.
Am I too late?
God, what on earth is he doing here?
He's here because he was a good friend of Father's, David. He's also the Archbishop of Canterbury.
And before you know it, he'll be standing on the coffin making a speech.
The King's life is moving peacefully towards its close.
I hadn't thought he would be so distressed.
He is frightened.
king is dead.
Long live the king.
I hope I will make good as he made good.
It's 11:55. That's 12 by Sandringham time.
When did this ridiculous notion of keeping the clocks here half an hour fast originate? Why on earth do we do it? My father may have won his private war with the 20th century. I have no quarrel with modernity.
As your majesty pleases.
Perhaps we should move on to the design of the new postage stamp, David.
I think I should be depicted smoking a small cheroot.
Postage stamps are quite a serious business, David.
Oh, God. You really are turning into father, aren't you?
Just before we move on to postage stamps, there is a question that I should like to raise with His Majesty about the order of service for His Majesty's coronation next spring. His Majesty has not been attending divine service or taking communion, and there have been comments, notably from the Bishop of Birmingham, to that effect.
Before you start on me, dear chap, I think you should do something about that lunatic. Man's a communist.
Your Majesty.
Do I appoint bishops? Or do you?
Margaret! Lilybet! Come here.
They're to go to a swimming pool, I understand. A public swimming pool. We shall need more towels.
No! Jumping on people's heads.
Jump on people's head. Don't care.
Don't care was made to care. Don't care was hung. Don't care was put in the pot and boiled till she was done. I knew a little girl once who put her legs around her daddy's neck and she died.
Hello, for goodness sakes. Well, you two had better behave yourselves. Have a good swim.
Hello, darling. Simpson wishes a word.
On behalf of the staff at Sandringham, sir, I'd like to thank you for all you've done, sir.
I understand Sam and the other groom have definitely got to go. I don't like it any more than you do, Simpson, and I am doing what I can. But if my brother wishes it...
Indeed, sir. We are all aware of the importance of economy. Although in certain instances His Majesty has been extremely generous. I understand from Stevens, the butler at Fort Belvedere, that His Majesty sent almost the entire contents of the Peach greenhouse to Mrs. Simpson. Not my wife, you understand, but the married American lady. The garden had to be taken out in hysterics.
Thank you for telling us this, Simpson. And do give our regards to Mrs. Simpson, your wife, not the married American lady.
Most kind, ma'am.
This issue is becoming rather serious. Courtiers are terrible gossips. But
I understand the American lady lectures him terribly at the dinner table.
yes, thank you, Simpson. This is all her influence. Lying isn't enough. Well, and now she has to get a knife into the servants and dismiss people who've been part of our family for years. And she prevents me from seeing him. And I feel I'm losing him, and I can't seem to...
You're not losing him, darling.
Bertie!
You're not losing him. You won't lose him. You can't lose him. I won't let it happen. He's your brother. Give me your pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You wanted to. I would like to.
Wow. And you are...
Sir Samuel Hall, First Lord of the Admiralty.
Were you second lord first? Did you work your way up?
Frightfully amusing. Of course, the Sea Lords have never quite recovered from Nelson, have they?
Ooh, Nelson. That name is so familiar, and I don't know why. Now, tell me, Sir Samuel, I'm only an American, and I don't understand these things. Has Hitler invaded the Rhineland? Isn't it his anyway?
Herr Hitler is a ghastly little man.
David rather likes him. Isn't he doing great things for the German railway system?
So Mr. Simpson is not here.
I fear not, ma'am. I also understand the guest list is to be printed in the court circular.
Making it seem as if we condone the occasion.
Mrs. Simpson is invited everywhere, ma'am.
So we notice. Mr. Churchill seems to be making full use of the opportunity.
Madam, all forms of address, rhetorical as well as geographical, are at the mercy of fashion.
Fascinating.
I told His Majesty, whenever speaking in public, always arrange your notes.
Please don't concern yourself with it, ma'am. Most of us feel Winston is not much more than a second-rate wireless personality.
Off hand. Straight back, straight through. Let the club do the work.
You're not going to make a scene at Balmoral tonight, are you?
I don't think she'd be capable of holding up her end of it, Bertie. But we do have to make our position clear, even at the risk of alienating David.
He won't talk to me about her. You are going to make a scene.
I'm not going to be horrible to David, and he's the one we care about.
And she's the one he cares about.
You leave David to me. I'm good at elder brothers. I have hundreds of them.
Oh! Well, the Duchess of York displayed her justly famous charm, and all was well. She is very Balmoral, don't you think? She really goes with the design of this place. That is, if design isn't too ambitious a word for this particular interior.
I do loathe Balmoral.
Who decorated it anyway? That tartan.
Oh, it's got to go. Along with most of the staff.
You can't get them out of kilts.
No. We must be nice to the Duchess, though. She's a good person.
Do be true to yourself, Bertie, and do be true to England.
David and I like to call her the Dowdy Duchess. She's incredibly...
David.
Hello.
We came to dine with the king.
Our own press have shown astonishing restraint. These are only Americans, but the implications for the Empire are ominous. Some of these may have been read by Canadians.
So far from God and so close to America. No, I'm afraid I stopped reading newspapers when I became an object of interest to them.
They get everything wrong. David's not going to marry this woman. No, we've had to rather lay it on the line, but he won't cut himself off from his family.
I fear the king may do just that. I understand Mr. Simpson's divorce is set for the 27th of October.
What happens if he insists on marrying her?
If a king goes against the advice of his ministers,
You mean that he might be forced off the throne?
Mr. Baldwin is immovable on the issue. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news.
But this is the most wonderful woman in the world, Bertie. The most wonderful woman in the world. Baldwin has underestimated me. Now, if he thinks I will give her up, he's quite wrong. He's threatened me with my cabinet.
I suppose he thinks it's his...
I may have to go, Bertie. I may have to resign the throne. I may have to step down.
His cabinet.
What?
We don't want that, David. We don't want you to go.
Or there is a morganatic marriage. I marry Wallace, but she doesn't attend official functions, nor is she by my side. Darling. It's Wallace.
Would you like me to...
She's concerned. You see, they're treating her appallingly. Yes, I'm here, my darling. Yes. Darling. Darling, we can get everything. All right? Queen, Empress of India, the whole bag of tricks. Yes, I know I can, darling. With you, I'm confident I can. Bertie's here. Yeah. All right, darling. Goodbye. Well, I just wanted you to know that if it comes to it, I might have to go.
My poor beauty, he said one day. My good horse. You saved your mistress's life, Beauty. Yes. You saved her life. John told my master he never saw a horse go so fast in his life.
Can't I stay up any longer?
I'm afraid not. No, Mummy and I have to...
Talk about Uncle David. I know. How can he stop being king?
Time for bed, Elizabeth. Run along.
Come on. There we go.
I'll be down directly. I can't do this, Elizabeth. I can't step into his shoes. I simply can't. I won't.
I'm sure it won't come to that. But we have to consider what to do if it does.
Horrible loneliness of it. Speeches. People looking at your every move. The crown. God help us.
He'll understand what you're feeling. I'm sure he will. And I'm sure that when it comes to it, he won't desert you. Nor the rest of his subjects.
This melancholy crisis is reaching its climax. All attention now focuses on the King's brother, His Royal Highness the Duke of York, the heir presumptive to the throne. We can only assume that he has been summoned to hear the outcome of His Majesty's deliberations.
Cabinet have decided he must be absent from England for at least a year.
Are they frightened he might try and upstage you?
God alone knows. I shall create him Duke of Windsor, a royal dukedom, so he'll have HRH.
What about her?
Can't bear to think about her. He says he has no money. I should give him an allowance of £25,000. He seemed pleased enough with that. It was all very civilized, I suppose.
It sounds absolutely horrible. Horrible for you.
David seemed to sail through it.
And now?
Now, he abdicates. Simple as that. Mother, Monkton has drawn up this thing.
What is it?
It's an instrument of abdication.
Has there ever been such a thing?
I think this is the first one, Mother.
You'd better read it to me, Bertie.
I, Edward VIII of Great Britain, Ireland, and the British dominions beyond the seas, King, Emperor of India, do hereby declare my irrevocable determination to renounce the throne for myself and for my descendants, and my desire that effect should be given to this instrument of abdication immediately.
To give up all that for a woman of no importance.
To turn his back on all of us. For a greedy, thoughtless, scheming, cold-hearted... How can he bow down to me as king? How can I receive his homage? How will I ever be able to do the damn job?
But you must believe me when I tell you that I have found it impossible to carry the heavy burden of responsibility and to discharge my duties as king as I would wish to do, without the help and support of the woman I love. My brother, with his long training in the public affairs of this country and with his fine qualities, is well qualified to take my place. And he has one matchless blessing, enjoyed by so many of you and not bestowed on me, a happy home with his wife and children. And now we all have a new king. I wish him and you, his people, happiness and prosperity with all my heart. God bless you all. God save the king.
So, you're king?
Well, it looks as if I have.
Will we have to move? Will you not be Duke of York anymore?
I'm afraid not.
I'm first in line of succession. So am I. No, you're not. You're second. I'm second then. Second isn't bad, really, is it?
No. Well, I suppose we'd better get on with it.
I raise and bless the crown, and then, sir, after the blessing, you rise.
I don't think I do. You're standing on my cloak.
Oh. What on earth is there in aid of? Smaller Bible for Norwich. Would you excuse me a moment, sir? I really think knowledge that we can't have that.
I'm terrified I'll put this thing on the wrong way round.
No, darling. I did tell them to put a little piece of red cloth to show which is the front and which is the back.
Seems to have come off.
Golly.
Edward the Confessor's crown. The crown of England.
I suppose it'll change you.
They all seem to think I'm the kind of chap who does what he's told. You know me better than that. Sometimes I do what I'm told, and sometimes I don't.
And at last we catch a glimpse of the King and Queen through the glass of the Golden State coach as it passes by. We can just make out the monarch and his consort dressed in their medieval attire. Bells peal forth, as they have done for over 300 years, as the monarch approaches the abbey for his coronation.
And the king now prepares to make his most reverent vows.
Do you solemnly promise and swear to govern the peoples of Great Britain, Ireland, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the Union of South Africa, of your possessions and the other territories to them belonging or pertaining, and of your Empire of India, according to their respective laws and customs?
I solemnly promise so to do.
No hesitation there.
I can't imagine how he thought he could fill your shoes.
Or wear my crown, as the saying goes.
Testing, testing. 1, 2. That all right?
1 minute 45 seconds to go. I have to say, the Battle of Jutland was infinitely preferable to this.
If we had recorded it, sir, the BBC would have been deceiving the British people.
1 minute and 27 seconds.
This one's a piece of cake, I promise you.
Mr. Logan, I've taken out all the problem areas. Only harmless and cooperative consonants have been left at the beginnings of words.
Logue is a terrible man. You know, he tried to get them to alter the coronation service in order to accommodate my ridiculous inability to pronounce certain words.
Told him if he gets stuck, he should yodel.
Better go in with the Queen, sir. You go into the studio when the national anthem begins. That takes exactly 50 seconds, and we have timed your walk into the microphone at precisely 50 seconds.
You chaps leave nothing to chance.
Should we go then, Bertie?
Will he do it, Wood?
Why are you all so down on the bloke? Give him a break, can't you? Don't you think he's superb? He tries. That's what I like about him. And for a king, he's a remarkably pleasant sort of person. He doesn't carry on like a royal at all.
Although it is his role to do precisely that, Mr. Logue. Or is it Dr. Logue? The music has stopped. Where is it? Has he run off like his brother?
The national anthem appears to have shrunk.
It is with a very full heart that I speak to you tonight. Never before has a newly crowned king been able to talk to all his peoples in their own homes on the day of his coronation. The Queen and I will always keep in our hearts the inspiration of this day. I have, in your hearing,
dedicated myself, with the Queen at my side, in words of the deepest solemnity. We will, God helping us, faithfully discharge our trust.
We're off air now. Well done, sir.
They're shouting for you. They want you again.
Will I do you think?
I think you will do very well. Do you hear what they're saying? We want the king. We want the king.
Well, the king wants his dinner.
His Royal Highness the Duke of Windsor is on the telephone, sir. From Austria, sir. Again, sir.
I thought I said to tell him to call at another time. 10 tomorrow, didn't I say?
I told him that, sir.
And what did David say?
He expressed incredulity, ma'am, that His Majesty was not available to speak to him.
What on earth does he think Bertie does all day? Make it clear to him that he has things to do.
Being king is rather hard work. Tell him that.
On which subject, sir? There are 3 more boxes to sign. And you have to look at these papers. The Chancellor is not very happy about the £25,000 you agreed to pay your brother.
Oh, is Mr. Chamberlain proposing David takes a job?
I think he's influenced by the fact that your brother was a little less than straightforward when he described the state of his finances.
You're telling me my brother lied to me? I have no secrets from the Queen.
I'm afraid he did, sir. The Duke of Windsor told you he had nothing. In fact, it appears he's accumulated a fortune of around £1 million, sir. And I do not think Parliament is going to look kindly on a pension of £25,000 a year from the civil list.
Well, he can't have it then, can he?
There was also the question of what to call,
Mrs. Simpson?
Yes. Or the Duchess of Windsor, as she will be, when...
David makes an honest woman of her. They're not married yet.
But they will be. And I understand your brother wants HRH for her. Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Windsor.
I do not think the king is very happy with that. Giving her HRH. Suppose this marriage doesn't last, and it very well may not. Suppose this woman marries again. Seems to be something she makes quite a habit of doing, doesn't it?
Yeah, does her new chap, Mr. Bert Bloggins, then acquire royal status from her? Wouldn't this turn royal rank into a kind of contagious disease? His Royal Highness, Mr. Bert Bloggins, all bow down. And if to be a king is to have meaning, then the title itself must be a sacred thing, carrying with it duties and responsibilities and limitations of an awesome kind. And that is what the abdication was about, and I will not have it cheapened! Let him know that.
I'll try, sir. German people gave welcome to His Royal Highness the Duke and Duchess of Windsor, here to study Reich conditions under the welcome of Reich Minister Robert Ley. He's the hideously ugly one on the left. He's a drunkard who was brought up in a Cologne brothel. Now spends his time persecuting Jews and anyone else who disagrees with him.
Herzlich willkommen.
Hearty welcome, Royal Britons, to the new, prosperous Germany.
I was under the impression it was the king who made state visits.
And the Queen. Don't forget the Queen.
How could he do this to Bertie?
Oh,
extraordinary.
That vile gesture.
Good God.
Here for the first time in America, a British king and queen on a royal visit. We like the king and queen even more after seeing them take the hurdles of our hospitality. There have been those who've said King George and Queen Elizabeth are trying to drag us into a world war. We didn't see any sign of that. Just a royal couple on the friendliest of terms with our president and his first lady.
Thank you all so much. And we're off the hook.
I think we both know that very soon we shall be involved in a life or death struggle with Herr Hitler. And you are our first line of defense.
I can't say how touched and flattered I am you asked us. And Munich. Munich was a mistake.
Yes, what a pity you couldn't command Mr. Chamberlain to stay away from Herr Hitler.
I can't command. You know I can't command. I'm George VI, not Henry VIII. There are times when I wish I bloody well was Henry VIII, but I'm not. I'm a constitutional monarch. I advise, appeal, counsel, warn, recommend, suggest, persuade, intimate, plead, wheedle, and generally crawl around on my hands and knees.
Your Majesty is a veritable thesaurus.
It's what I do.
Nobody wants a war. But if the Germans bomb London, America will come in. I think I can promise you that.
I wish my ministers would talk to me in the way you do.
Well, perhaps they are restrained by the hereditary nature of your office, which, of course, I'm not. President to King. It's much more fun than Congress.
And I take it I have your permission to communicate your thoughts, in confidence, of course, to my government.
Never write down the words of a politician, young man. Time changes all our intentions.
Read it back again, my darling.
For the second time in the lives of most of us, we are at war. Can't believe it's happening again. I really can't. When my brother died in the Great War, over and over again, we have tried to find a peaceful way out of the differences between ourselves and those who are now our enemies. But it has been in vain.
I'll say.
You'll never believe this, sir. We can't find the form of words we used last time we declared war on Germany.
War has been declared, but our forces are mobilized and ready to stand firm against the Nazi aggressor. No one wants to go down this path again, but Britain is ready to dig in for the fight, and our children steadfastly play their part on the road to victory. Godspeed, and you'll soon be back home.
Mr. Churchill, I'm sorry to see that Mr. Chamberlain has lost the confidence of the House.
These are difficult times, sir. The Nazi invasion of Holland and the Low Countries, which commenced at 3 a.m. this morning on a broad front, proceeding with the ruthless brutality already witnessed in Czechoslovakia and Poland?
Indeed. I read the papers. I suppose you don't know why I have sent for you.
Sir, I simply couldn't imagine why.
I want you to form a government.
I will most certainly do so, if you ask me, sir.
Preferably without Lord Beaverbrook. Nothing to do with his support for Wallace. And, as your sovereign, I am well aware that my function is only to advise, to counsel, and to warn.
Indeed, sir.
So, I'm advising you.
Thank you, sir. I take what you say with great seriousness, sir. May I say that all who serve you bear a tremendous debt of gratitude for your high sense of duty to your family and the manner in which you've shouldered the immense burden you've undertaken.
The immense burden in this case being you. The Beaver is still making trouble with David. But you're going to hire him anyway, aren't you?
I'd rather have him inside the tent pissing out than outside the tent pissing in, sir.
Royal Page's office, Buckingham Palace. Who is speaking, please? I'm sorry, this line isn't very good. You are the Queen of the Netherlands. Right, I'm sure you are. Now look, it is 5 a.m. in the morning. I'm not in the mood You are the Queen of the Netherlands. I must apologise, ma'am. Right. Right. I'll go and get him, ma'am. Sir? What is it? Sir, we have the Queen of the Netherlands on the telephone, sir. She says it's urgent.
I'll be right with you.
What does she want? She wants you to send some aircraft, sir, for the defence of Holland. She sounds in some distress, sir.
Have you got any aircraft to spare?
Isn't that your department rather than mine?
Simpson! Yes? Oh, hello again. What news? You got on board a British destroyer. Well, if it's been ordered back to England, I can't very well order it back to Holland, now can I? It's Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands. She seems to be at Harwich. It rather looks as if you'd better come and stay with us. Oh. She hasn't got any luggage. She hasn't got anything to wear. Doesn't even have a hat.
We'll buy her a hat.
You can get a train from there to Liverpool Street. I'll come down and pick you up. Yes. Yes. Yes, do that. Goodbye. She isn't very happy about it. She feels she should be with her people.
Oh, she's absolutely right, Bertie. But if she were to be captured, I fear the Germans would make capital out of it.
So where would you propose to go if you were going to be captured?
I do not propose to go anywhere. I do not propose to be captured. As monarchs, we are symbols, never more so than in time of war. Which is why the children must stay here. Someone had the absurd notion of sending them to Canada. I've never heard anything so ridiculous in my life.
You like my new hat? It's a good hat, no? Where are the little princesses?
We've sent them to Windsor, but they're not leaving the country. Your hat is superb.
I am interested to see the palace defenses. You know, the Germans sent parachutists in to try to capture my person for propaganda purposes. They failed.
Apparently, I just pressed one of these buttons here, and men leap out of the shrubbery. Well, eventually.
Oh! Save me! Oh, I do not intend to be captured alive.
Oh, please.
You know, I nearly clipped Lord Halifax the other day.
Oh, darling.
Bertie, you are the only man I've yet encountered whose temper was improved by the fall of France.
Oh, we're much better on our own without all those foreigners to worry about. Present company accepted, of course. No, Britain will muddle through. You'll see. You're going to shoot again?
Oh. Yes.
There you are. If there's a German parachutist around, he's in for a nasty shock.
But they will come, my dears. And when they do, it is frightening.
London and our great cities have shown steadfast courage in the face of shelling and incendiaries. Each dawn brings fresh stories of heroism and miraculous escapes. According to Goebbels, the people's morale is broken. Well, just look at them.
Thank you.
They've gone quiet. Oh. We lost 34 planes. The Nazis lost 182. 53 almost certainly destroyed. We're not dead yet.
You know, I think our friends are losing the taste for daylight raids. They tend not to come back in one piece.
But it's a funny kind of quiet. Was that something?
Is that an aeroplane, do you think?
Just so long as it's one of ours.
Don't think it is, sir. It's a bloody Hun coming in over the mouth.
What an inferno! Quick, darling. Quick!
Run, Tommy!
Hold on! Hold tight!
So, the direct hit!
Direct attack on the palace, all right. Some pilot knew his way around.
I do have a relative in the German Air Force. Duke of Saxe-Coburg's boy. I think it was a father's funeral, wasn't he?
Maybe David gave him a ground plan.
Damn close thing. We could all have been killed.
How do I look?
Dressed for a garden party.
It's Hartnell's idea. Keep him smiling. Bright colours. Britain can take it.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Shall we? Morning.
Morning. Your house still standing? Awful sight.
Good morning. Good morning. The tide is morning. Thank
call for a good king!
Thank God for a good people.
We heard you was bombed. I'm afraid we were.
Are you all right then?
I seem to be all here, young man. Oh, look. What do we have here? We do feel for you. Thank you. We do feel for you. God bless you. Little one, I have to go. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You put on your best clothes then, didn't you?
Well, you'd put on your best clothes if you came and saw me, wouldn't you?
Three cheers for Her Majesty the Queen! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray!
They talk about morale. All these people have lost their homes. Look at them.
I think they're wonderful.
My dear President Roosevelt, it is some time since I last wrote to you.
And you still haven't received a reply any more than have I. I only wrote to his wife. I failed to see how politeness would have compromised her.
Politics.
Oh, you know, I wish you wouldn't work so hard. Drink so much or smoke so much or...
Care so much?
You must do what you have to do, my darling, but I am allowed to worry about you.
If only you'd answer. We're on the edge of losing the whole damn shoot.
Do you know, I sometimes wonder whether the endless waving and grinning at everyone and everyone who might be of use to this country is really any good whatsoever. The only thing the American president will understand is a large bomb personally delivered to the White House lawn by Adolf himself. One of his friends.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date that will live in infamy, the United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
With America now on our side, each day sees more and more of their gallant troops arriving on our shores. So we say, welcome, boys. Glad to have you on board.
Someone has painted a black line round the bath. Now, why would they do that?
It's to show how much water you're allowed.
Good Lord. And how much are you allowed?
Up to the line.
Well, a reasonably substantial person would hardly be covered at all. I shudder to think what your grandfather would have made of it. I suppose we must do these things. We've been advised in the country to give lifts to servicemen. I picked up an American. He was delightful. But I don't believe he knew who I was.
Thank you.
Fish cakes, ma'am. I'm told they're most nutritious.
They remind me of something I think I'd rather forget. Now I rather wish they'd been what they looked like, rather than what they actually are. Fish cakes.
Well, I think there is some cold ham somewhere. Is there cold ham, Simpson?
I'm assured a small quantity of ham may be available, ma'am.
I can't stop for ham. In fact, I can't stop for fish cakes. Got to work. Sorry. Can't stop at all. Work.
Bertie's been working so hard.
He is. You can't stop them. You want to stop them, but you can't stop them. And you must not stop them. It's their duty.
Yes.
I'll have a word with him after dinner. Working then?
Yes, Mother.
Late? Well after midnight. Almost 1.
Yes, Mother.
Well, must be done.
In North Africa, the war continues. Under their leader, General Bernard Montgomery, the British 8th Army soundly defeated Rommel and his men, capturing 30,000 prisoners, 350 tanks, and 400 guns.
It's General Montgomery. Is he the Alamein one? He is. Do you know what they say about him? He's the greatest commander since Nelson. His men love him.
Sir, this is the most tremendous honor.
Congratulations.
Frightfully pleased to see you, General.
Would you like me to inspect your daughter, ma'am?
Oh, yes, later, I think, absolutely.
Tell us how you did it. Rommel was supposed to be unbeatable, wasn't he?
Ah, well. May I use the cutlery, ma'am?
Feel free.
So, we were here. They were there. And then I moved round here. Then we slogged it up for a couple of hours. Came round here. After which we had the most terrific party. Biff, bang, bang, 100% binge. Lots of chaps being killed.
Yeah, I have only one criticism. Are you sure about the hat?
Oh, my beret is tremendous for morale. The 8th Army depends upon my beret, sir. Anyway, after that, I had them penned in, you see, and then I forced him towards the sea, like so.
Alan Brooke told us he was worried you were after his job.
I'm worried you're after mine.
No, I'm just a simple soldier, sir. Anyway, after we'd totally surrounded their army, I have a dog called Wommel, by the way. I smashed him, like so. Thousands of men died. Good, brave men. 8th Army. I'm their Monty, you see.
VE Day. We've been waiting for this for 6 years, and now London celebrates. From Piccadilly Circus to Trafalgar Square and right down the Mall, they'll sing and cheer. But the biggest crowds are outside Buckingham Palace, where the King and Queen and Princesses share the celebrations with Mr. Churchill.
Today, we give thanks to Almighty God for a great deliverance. Speaking from our empire's oldest capital city, war-battered, but never for one moment daunted or dismayed.
Is Daddy all right? He's not well.
He's very
Speaking
tired.
from London,
He's been
I ask you
working very, very
to
hard.
join with me in an act of thanks giving. Germany, the enemy who drove all Europe into war,
has been finally overcome.
Well, here he comes. Your new Prime Minister.
Will I ever get used to Mr. Attlee?
The Labour Party did.
Poor old Winston. When the world no longer makes sense, it means you're getting old.
Your children start to get married. You're unable to read small print. They give you a state funeral. You know, Philip will need to get your permission before he marries your best girl.
No father likes to lose his daughter. She is really very young, you know.
Yes, she is. Although certain people are very keen that it should happen, you know.
Indeed, I noticed something of the kind.
Dickie Mountbatten practically went down on one knee on his behalf.
Seems unbelievable. Only yesterday she was my little girl, and now somebody wants to take her away from us. And here is Mr. Attlee, who in some ways has a similar agenda.
I suppose we'd better let him in.
He comes at my invitation.
Good luck.
Well. Well.
Did you know, sir, I still have that pipe, the one you liked.
Is that so?
With the self-cleaning device.
Yeah. Good Lord, and the bowl on the same level?
Yes, exactly. Now, seems you want to nationalize everything.
Yes, sir.
And the gas employees are on strike.
Indeed, sir.
You and I could easily go on strike. You could send me no papers. And if you did, I could refuse to sign them. But we don't, do we?
No, sir.
The king must open a hospital. The king must open a hospital, although there are times when he'd rather be in one.
All right.
You've got to look your best.
We won. We queue. But however long the queues, we keep smiling, don't we?
I think it might be quite fun. And you're not to say you'd rather be in a hospital. Hospitals are awful places. People die in them. Kings have to go on forever and ever.
But if they don't, they have princesses to replace them.
Marvelous. Bye.
You look waving.
Arm hands.
I'm waving. I'm doing extra waving. I'm doing at least 2 waves to a second. At this rate, I shall have done 38 waves from a standing start. See that man over there with the glasses? This is for him.
I don't think I quite understand the National Health Service.
It's quite simple. It's so that people who don't have the money don't have to pay for treatments and medicines.
So, if a chap wants a pair of false teeth, they just give them to him. And with free shoes, next.
Wave. Look cheerful. Think about free spectacles. Try to see the bright side of the Transport and General Workers' Union. Wave.
It is with the greatest pleasure that the King and Queen announce the betrothal of their dearly beloved daughter, Princess Elizabeth, to Lieutenant Philip Mountbatten, RN, son of the late Prince Andrew of Greece.
Not Prince Andrew Schleswig, Holstein, Sonderburg, Glücksburg.
No, sir.
Just of Greece.
Yes, pardon.
Good.
To this union, the King has gladly given his consent.
After we've forced him to the floor and beat him about the head with the leg of a chair. You all right?
No, I'll be fine.
No, you lost weight on that South African tour.
Yeah, all that waving.
People have been so amazingly generous.
King of Swaziland. How exquisite.
Oh, what on earth is this? Is this one of your wedding presents?
Nylon stockings. I've been given 237 pairs.
No, this.
It's a gift from Mahatma Gandhi.
Oh, it's absolutely disgusting. It's his loincloth or whatever it is he wears.
It's a piece of cloth he wove on his own spinning wheel, at Uncle Dickie's suggestion. Gandhi is a remarkable man.
I don't care what he is. His loincloth is disgusting.
And we're not asking David.
No.
He didn't do too badly in the Bahamas. He didn't start any wars or anything. Well, mind you, she came pretty close to it. I was thinking maybe we should have asked him. I mean, would it be the end of the world if we asked him?
And if you wanted to bring her, she'd never be received.
No. Just feel a little sorry for him, living in Paris with nothing to do and...
House the size of the British Embassy and dining in style each night. It wouldn't make sense of the past. We have done what we have done, and we must stand by it.
My darling Lilibet, I was so proud of you and thrilled at having you so close to me on our long walk in Westminster Abbey. But when I handed you to the Archbishop, I knew I had lost something very precious. I am so glad you wrote and told Mummy that you think the long wait before your engagement was for the best. I was rather afraid you had thought I was being hard-hearted about it. Our family, us four, the royal family, must remain together, with additions, of course, at suitable moments. I have watched you grow up all these years with pride under the skillful direction of Mummy, who, as you know, is the most marvelous person in the world in my eyes.
Thanks, Billy.
Well, we meet again.
Eventually. Your time seems fully occupied, yes. You don't look well.
Well, as you may remember, the role of king is an onerous one.
Oh. I never found it so.
Perhaps because you never bothered to carry out many of its duties.
Such as marrying a woman who was acceptable to Mr. Baldwin. I must say that I never thought romance was something that could be dictated to one by politicians.
Or stayed in the job long enough to be qualified to talk about it.
You know what I've come to ask.
To ask us to recognize your wife. And I think you know what my answer will be.
Oh, you have grown so hard, Bertie. Hard the way they are hard. You've been chanting their lines so long, you've come to believe you wrote them.
I don't think you ever really understood what you did when you walked away from the throne of England. Or what our position would have to be when you did so. What do you do in Paris, David?
What have you done since the Bahamas?
I have tried to work for my country and been blocked by you. No, that's not right. I've been blocked by your wife and my mother. A couple of ice-veined bitches.
Can I explain this again? You and I are not as other men. Our lives are circumscribed by the office we both have borne. An office whose existence is at the very heart of what English democracy and English liberty means. We are at the service of our people and our parliament, not the other way around. And if the cabinet and the dominions of this great nation of ours should choose to tell you may not marry Mrs. Simpson, then who are we to oppose them?
Who is to say who is suitable to be a queen? Is divorce a disqualification? Have we not seen royal divorce, and will we not see more? Or are Americans somehow naturally evil? Oh, admit it, Bertie. The issue was Wallace. And the fact that that common little wife of yours disliked her.
If you had any inkling of what it is that my wife means, what it is that she means to me, what it is that love and duty and love, what they mean, and you.
Feeling better, are we?
The interview is over.
The bulletin issued on the 18th reads, during the King's recent illness, a series of examinations was carried out, including radiology and bronchoscopy. These investigations now show structural changes to the lung.
And we are not to say that the tumour is malignant, or to let him know that.
No, ma'am.
I would like a frank and honest assessment of how long you think His Majesty is likely to live. A guess, then. You won't be hung, drawn and quartered if you get it wrong. How long's he got? How long have I got with him?
Sir?
It is very difficult to realize the King has left us. He was so much better and so full of plans for the future. He was so young to die and was becoming so wise in kingship. As our daughter takes up his task, it is impossible to tell what duties and difficulties lie in wait for the future of this, our ancient English monarchy. But it is impossible to deny that by his example of courage, modesty, and decency, George VI leaves her a throne more securely established than at any time in this dark and divided century.
And the Duke of Windsor will be attending the funeral.
Indeed.
Our understanding is that the Duchess will not be in attendance.
No. Don't let me keep you, Tommy. You have things to do.